All right, it's time now to check in with Keith Bilbrey and find out what you have been sending into our my2cents@tbn.tv mailbox. Keith, if you dare, open up that first big envelope and tell us what we find.
Well, a very frustrated chef asked, Philadelphia's Democrat Mayor Jim Kenney made dining in Philly outdoors only, then went to a friend's restaurant in Maryland to eat indoors. So why does he cross lines to dine and continue to kill jobs and income here at home?
Well, the answer is simple. There are a lot of people who get elected and they think that the rules are for everybody but them. It's why Bill de Blasio shut New York down and said you couldn't go to the gym, but he went every day. And it's why just this week, Nancy Pelosi went to a salon to get her hair fixed, even though salons in San Francisco have been closed since March. Let me tell you, nothing ticks people off more than when elected officials somehow believe that they can live by different rules than the rules that they impose upon the ordinary, typical American citizen. You can fix that, however. It's called an election, and there are a lot of people that need to be fixed and sent home for good when they do dumb stuff like that. All right. Keith, who else did we hear from?
Well, Christine on Gmail asked, a young man named Jay Danielson, who was part of the Patriot Prayer Group, was shot dead last week in Portland. Why did this happen? And will the police find and arrest the shooter?
Well, we certainly hope so. Reportedly, the person who did the shooting is a person who had been arrested earlier this summer with a loaded weapon. And guess what happened? They let him go. And as a result, this guy is now dead. This is a tragedy, but our streets have been turned into a crazy place. And let's hope that at some point, officials, I don't care what party, Democrat, Republican, Independent, there should be a common understanding that going to the streets and burning, looting, and hurting innocent people just because you want to is not the way we build a great country, or even a country that any of us would want to live in. We've got to stop this. It has to start being that we treat each other with a little level of respect, and you can't do that when you're killing people just because they have a different political view than you do. Keith, who else did we hear from?
Well, Georgia on My Mind wants to know, Democrat Georgia State Representative Vernon Jones attended President Trump's acceptance speech last week. He was then mobbed and threatened by protesters outside the White House and called names that are evil and politically incorrect. Why has the media not stood up for Vernon Jones? He's a minority and was under attack on the streets of Washington, D.C.
You may remember Vernon Jones was here on our show. What a great guy. He is a Democrat legislator from Georgia, but he supports the president. He said that President Trump has actually done more for African Americans than the party that he's been a part of has ever done for them. And so that is a no-no. First of all, if you're a Democrat, you certainly aren't supposed to say you're for Trump. And as Joe Biden told us, if you're black, you have to vote for him. Well, Vernon Jones said, no, I don't. I get to vote my conscience. And so he took that stand, and apparently that's not okay to people who believe that you have to vote according to your identity that somebody else has assigned you. Vernon Jones is not so much a black person, he's an American person, and he ought to be able to make up his own mind and do what he doggone well chooses. America is not about our color, it's about our choices to be Americans. Keith, I know we got probably one or two more. Who else?
We got one more. Okay. Tom on Hotmail is pretty upset. Washburn University in Kansas quietly removed statues of Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin from campus way back in July over concerns of vandalism. The academic leaders believe Jefferson in particular would become a target or an embarrassment for alumni. These are two founding fathers, and Jefferson was always claimed by the Democrats for his beliefs. Have they demoted him?
No, they've demoted their own brains into mush. When you can't appreciate what Thomas Jefferson did and who he was and how he helped in the creation of this country, and you cannot appreciate Benjamin Franklin, then I would suggest let's get you a one-way plane ticket. You get to pick the location, but let's send you somewhere where you think the founders of that ever country that you want to go to is better than this one. But in the meantime, don't be stupid. And that's pretty stupid. Now, if you're seeing this, I know you've enjoyed that video. I mean, how could you not, after all? So you know what you should do? Leave a like, click on the subscribe button below, and hit the notification bell next to it so you'll always know when I have another video up for you to enjoy.